Hello friends, welcome to Salesforce Cinematics video session 55. So of course in today's video also we will just continue with the compute expression part, and today actually I will be showing you what are the different kind of functions we can use when it comes to comparing two dates. Okay, so in opportunity we have the created and closed date as the standard date fields which we normally use. So I don't know if logically today's expression will make sense or not in terms of results, but yeah, this is just to teach you what are the different kind of functionalities which we can use in data flow to compare dates. Okay, so here what I will do is I will also bring the close date once, and let me first check in a SQL query how the dates are. Okay, for example, here I see 18th August. Here I see 29th October, it's 31. It's almost future dates. So what I can do is I can give an expression like close date minus created date. At least most of them, I should get a positive value for that. Okay. So I will show you how the comparison is done and what are the different expression which we can use for it. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's quickly jump to this Analytics Studio in the free session 6. And here, what I will do is I will just calculate, let's say, let me give it as difference between close date and created it. What it's saying, it starts with only letters but not consecutive. Okay, difference between close date and created date. Okay, so firstly, there's a very famous way we can do, and of course it has to be numeric. Fine. So it will be numeric, and I will give the precision and 5, and let's say the scale as 0. So a very easy method to actually calculate the difference between them is, and of course for this, understanding of epoch is a little bit essential, but for now just focus on the expression which I'm using, and maybe in one of the session I will explain you what is this epoch is all about. Okay, so let me write as close date underscore day underscore epoch, fine, minus created date underscore day underscore epoch. Okay, so this will give us the difference. I have written as day, usually we write as second, so there are different ways of writing epoch. So this is just an extension which we use for, related to any calculation. I mean, wherever the expression date comes into picture, we have to use the epoch part. Okay, in data flow. Now there are different ways which till now we have used underscore sec. You can also use underscore day. Okay, underscore hour, underscore minute, whatever is required. However, I will just take the day part into consideration, and I will just calculate the difference between them. Okay, that's the whole meaning of this. Okay, and let me just write it as 1. So this is the first way I will calculate the difference. Fine, which will give me the difference as well. Now there are different ways we can do. I will teach you that. So there is another way, and we will walk through the expression properly maybe at the end of this. I mean, once we see the result on the data set and I show you how it's done, after that we will try to understand that expression. So again, the precision will be 5, and let's say the scale will be 0. Precision means the maximum number of digit. I think, it wouldn't cross more than 5 digits, because I'm just calculating the difference in terms of day. Okay, and here let me write the expression as, or because it's 31, I think 300 into 5, 3 is 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let's take it as 7, huh? Because I think there we have, uh, yeah, let's take it as 10, because we have till 31. I remember just now it is 31 and it is 6. So it's like almost 6 into 3 is 6, 3 is 18, 18,000. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think 7 will be fine. Okay, 7 will be fine. So let me make it as 7 or 8. Okay, 8, and let me here also make it as 8. Okay. There's one more where I can write, sorry, give me a moment. I didn't change that expression here. So here I can write something called as date diff. There's a function called as date diff. Okay. And here what it does is, here I will have to mention how I want the difference. Let's say I want the difference in terms of day, and I will just write to date. Okay. It will be created date underscore sec underscore epoch. Fine. comma, it will be to date once again. And here I will write close date underscore sec underscore epoch. Okay. Let me click on save. And at last we have something called as days between. Okay. There's a function called days between, and I will just write over here. So I'll just copy this from here. It's something like this. Okay. Fine. Let me click on save. Now let's understand one by one. So at first I've given, this is a very simple one. I've taken the day part into consideration. I've created the difference between them. Okay. The next part is I have used something called as date diff. Okay. I've given the expression how I want the difference. I want it terms of days. That's what the first thing is. So let's understand how the date diff comes into Einsteinitis. Okay. So in Google, just search for date diff in Einsteinitis. So just open this first part. So as you can see here, this date diff, at first you have to give the date part, the start date and the end date. That's how it goes over. So date diff, what it does, it returns the amount of time between two dates. This function is only valid in a for each statement. So in SQL, we write it in for each statement, but that's fine. We are using in data flow. That's the main thing. Now, if you see, this is the time difference, how we calculate. For example, they've given date diff. I want to calculate terms of year. Okay. In terms of year, I want to calculate what is the difference between these two. Fine. So as you can see, in terms of year, the return will be 1. Okay. So that's how this is calculated. Let me check the next expression. Will I get proper in the next expression? Analytics SQL. Yeah, basically, yeah, both are same. As you can see, you can get in terms of year or month. I would rather tell you to come to this one. Analytics SQL, where it's written, right? In Google, you search and come to this. So here you give the date part, start date, and end date. That's what I have done over here. Okay, if you see mine, fine. I've given the date part like in terms of what I want, the day, year, month, whatever, and then I've given the start date. So this is my start date, fine, and this is my end date. So I want as close date minus created date, right? So the start date is created date and the close date is the end date. So that's why I've given the expression in this manner. So automatically it will calculate as close date minus created date. Okay, so this is the next part, and then finally I have this one, that is days between. Okay, so very quickly let's search the days between. So let's say I want days between. Just write the function name in Einsteinitis. Okay, and let's open the first one, that is SQL Analytics SQL Developer Guide. And if you see here, that's what is it's written number of days. Okay, and again here you have to give the date 1 and date 2. So again, date 1 is your start date, date 2 is your end date. So see, whenever you calculate the difference is how you calculate. The calculation of difference is nothing but end date minus start date, right? That's how we calculate it. The one which is in future, the ones which is in past. So end date minus, I mean, whichever value is more, end date minus created date. Here I'm assuming my close date values are more. So it's my end date minus start date. Fine. So remember this part. Let me open my notepad plus plus. So whenever it comes to difference, right? Difference of dates. Okay. It's always like end date minus start date. Okay. Fine. It's always end date minus start date. Fine. Now here I'm assuming that my end date is nothing. Sorry. It's end date minus start date. That's how the difference of date we calculate. Okay. So my end date over here is close date. My start date is created date. Fine. In that way, what I have done, if you see here in the very first expression, okay, I have completely written the end date minus start date. That's the calculation which we are doing. Okay. End date minus start date, which is completely fine. Now, in the next step, what I'm doing here, if you see at first, I'm not mentioning the end date. I'm mentioning the start date first. The format will be closed date minus created date. But as you have seen for date diff, we actually first mention like the date time part, then we mention the start date and then the created date. And same thing I have applied for this one. Days between, at first you mention the start date, then the ended. As you can see here, first specifies the start date and the next one is ended. That's how the syntax is working over here. Okay, so you can always take the help of Google and search for this expression to learn a little bit more in details in terms of theory. But yeah, practically this is how it works out. And now let me click on save. So ideally now if I run and now if I view the data set, the answers will be same, that's fine. But I just wanted to teach you how you can actually find that same result by using different kind of expression in data flow. Okay. And before I update, I want to check one last thing. I just hope I've given the scales correctly. Fine. And that's it. And now let me update and let me run the data flow. Okay, it's saying fail. Why it's showing fail? It is saying make sure the close date. Okay, I think I understood the mistake. I have to select that field, created date and close date. Okay, created date is already there. Let me search with close date. I didn't enable this field close date. That's why it's giving me this error. That's why I was not able to identify that field close date. Okay, a very common mistake which I make, but ensure that you don't make it. Okay, now let's check this. Okay, so this ran successfully. Now, if I just come over here, uh, let me come to my analytics studio and let me open this derived field lens. So in this lens, now I will just take the difference. I will take all these things, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's it. And what I will do is I will take the created date below. Okay, and let me take the close date as well. Okay. So let me take the close date and let me take the close date at the top of the created date, and then we can see how the difference is coming. Okay. Now, if you see over here, okay. See, this is my close date. This is my created date. If you find the difference, so this is like 29/10/2031. This is 18/8/2024. The number of days is approximately 2628, right? And that's what you find over here. Now, there will be a slight variation in the third one, that is the days between, because you know the timestamp is also taken into consideration sometimes. So don't worry about this part. Okay. It actually days between shows you the accurate result, where sometimes there's a little bit of time difference, isn't it? So that's why you will find on a few values the days will decrease by 1. Okay, but otherwise if the time aspect is proper, then basically the numbers will be completely same. And let me check if I find any values here. Mm, 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 3, 7, 7, 6. Okay, that's fine. I'm not able to find any value actually where it's showing me completely exactly same. But just understand, in the days between part, you will get 1 day less, because sometimes you know the time factor is also taken into consideration, because here you have this time factor. So because of the time factor, let's say if the time exactly doesn't match, sometimes it actually gives you 1 day less, because you know here I'm also taking the time part into consideration. Like if you have any two dates where you are not taking the timestamp into consideration, there won't be any difference in results, by the way. Okay, but because of the timestamp, there is a little bit of slight variation if you use that days between. Otherwise, if you see, it's working everywhere. On the results are almost except the third one, which is 1 day less. But that's how this expression works. Okay, so it exactly gives you the same result for by this different three expression, which is one is the state of a calculation. The next one is, you know, the date underscore diff. And the third one is days between. Okay, just remember the syntax. I have told you in Google how to search it. And yeah, that's all how you can find the difference of dates. Okay, so thank you all. And yeah, please do like, share, and subscribe. Let's very quickly meet in our next video.